There we go.
Oh, yeah. We're talking a little Cooper McDonald, the only backup linebacker who knows where he needs to be, coaching Joshua Williams on the field as a rookie on where to line up. Made some splash plays, set the edge, made a couple run stuffs, had a sack. Yeah, he's a backup Sam. I can hear it already, Maddie. You don't have to say it. I know. But one of the only competent backup linebackers that we saw. Yes, I know Jeff Bassa is out here, and I do truly believe he's going to contribute, but there's a lot of room to grow there. Spags wants to play smarts. He's got a guy that supposedly, we haven't seen it, but we supposedly are hearing that he can play Will, Mike, and Sam. Big dude, plays the run well. One of the few backup linebackers that look good. I have been saying all along, I think that guy's got a shot to make the 53. And I was possibly the only person in Kansas City that was not surprised to see him actually make the active roster.
That was an abbreviated 7 minutes on McDonald with Craig Stout.
Just like his entire snap count for his career is going to be, because he's a backup Sam with a roster spot. You have the most limited position in all of football that already has the prototypical Sam of all. You have the most Samiest Sam that's ever existed in Leo Chenal. And you're like, oh yeah, there's a reason we should get a backup to that guy so that if he ever gets hurt, we're going to play him for 3 snaps, half the snaps we would actually play Leo Chenal in a game.
Key ingredient to making the base defense go. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that guy certainly wouldn't hang out on your practice squad for a while because teams are clamoring for backup Sams.
He's the straw that stirs the base defense's drink if Leo Chenal gets hurt.
Correct.
I mean, come on, Maddie. Also, I think you're remarkably short-sighted, Matthew. Remarkably short-sighted. No. This is a contract year for Leo Chenal. Who's playing Sam in 2026? Who?
Anybody. Literally anybody.
I'll tell you who. I'll tell you who.
McDonald.
Cooper
McDonald. My Sam. Guy, Cooper McDonald.
The only argument that could have been made that would have swayed me was if Josh Williams has to play, he has to be out there to tell him where to go. The only argument that I would have stood for was he's on there to direct Joshua Williams.
Is Josh Williams handler?
Everything else makes no sense. You could have gotten him off your practice squad. Listen, I'm with Craig. I agree on everything Craig said about him flashing. I thought he was by far the Chiefs' best backup linebacker during the preseason. He made the most plays. They were all versus the run because they wanted nothing to do with him in coverage ever. And were sending him to rush. They were sending him to rush on every coverage opportunity they possibly could. So they did not want him in space, which is fair. He does not look as good in space. I just thought that was a crazy roster spot, was on a player of that ilk, not the player, not the person, but that particular type of position.
Seamus says, Maddie, the Jets
good
him too.
No,
we could have traded for him in 2 years.
No, I don't want. Listen, Brett Veach is learning from his mistakes. If you let these guys go, the Jets pick them up, and then you trade for them later. Just hold on.
They currently have the Chiefs' better linebacker and as a poll.
Guys, I'm getting some news here. Cam Jones has been acquired from the Jets for a conditional pick swap in 2026.
Jesus.
So they needed another linebacker on this roster. Let's be honest. They needed another one of those out there. Speaking of trades, Derek Nottie is the Chiefs' starting nose tackle.
Only.
And only nose tackle. Let's get into that a little bit because I think people want to hear about Mike Pennell, Derek Nottie, all of this. Like that seems to be like there's tons of Rashee Rice. There's tons of other conversations about the 53 going on. That's the one that everybody's just kind of rumbling about under the surface right now. It's like Mike Pennell played all preseason as the starting nose tackle. The Chiefs go out and trade for a guy that they let walk and go to the Jets for practically nothing. And then they trade for him later on this offseason and immediately cut their starter and the guy that was playing in preseason as nose tackle for Derek Nottie. What are your thoughts here, guys?
Well, there's still only one. There really is only one nose tackle on this roster right now. And last year, Derek Nottie and Mike Pennell both played about 30 snaps each last season, if I remember, somewhere around
30%, you mean?
30. Did I say 30 snaps?
Yeah, 30 snaps. Yeah.
30% of snaps, of course. That's they've got to have more bodies there. Now they've got Marlon Tuipulotu on the practice squad. They got Broderick Martin, who was a fun player from Western Kentucky a few years back, on the practice squad as well. But as far as true noses are concerned, they've got one. And I think they've got the one that was the worst of the two last season, the one that the Chiefs didn't pick this offseason.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why, we're sitting here and maybe the Mike Pennel news is coming down the pike sooner rather than later. And like, this means nothing, but you would think you would have some movement here on Mike Pennell's return to the roster, and there's been no news to this point.
Well, I mean, let's theoretically, the Chiefs like to do this. They like to cut veterans that are not going to go through waivers to come back on like a little, hey, we have this deal set in place where you're going to come.
Anticipate.
You're going to come right back, right? Well, maybe they tried to have something like that done with Pennell. Maybe that was their theory and what they were going to do here. Maybe that kind of pissed off Mike. Maybe he wasn't a fan of them being here all training camp, literally going is he the oldest player on the roster?
Yeah.
Close to it,
is he older?
Right?
No, is he older than Kelsey?
Winchester's the oldest, I think.
Okay. Well, one of the oldest players on the roster goes through all of camp. Literally, he's been here every single day. Down in, down out. As we said, the only nose tackle. Every time they run the ball, he's got to be in there because they don't have literally another functioning body to play nose tackle. He's out there every single time. He's playing in that second preseason game in Seattle in the swamp with all the backups. He's the one taking on all these offense, this run heavy attack by the Seahawks. And then she's like, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to cut you and probably bring you back for as little as we possibly can. I would be a little pissed off too. I would understand if he's maybe a little pissed off right now, seeing if somebody else would like his service instead of having to come back to the Chiefs. And if this turns around to bite the Chiefs, boy, what a wildly stupid offseason decision process this has been. Not only do they only keep one nose tackle who is aging, you cut the guy that you just traded for because you didn't like what he was going for. By the way, his contract for the Jets was nothing. You could have easily paid him if you thought he was worth keeping around the first time.
You said minimum?
Yes. And then you go out and you sign a 3-tech in Jerry Tillery. You go draft a 3-tech that you're trying to turn into a more versatile defensive tackle in Omar Norman-Lott. What was the ultimate plan here at any point in time? Like, you can tell me that nothing went according to plan with this, but like, what was the plan if it results in trading for Derek Nottie, who you let go for a vet minimum deal?
I mean, that's really what I'm struggling with here. It would be one thing if they took a bunch of bites at the apple at nose tackle this offseason. Again, draft a guy, do something like that isn't Omar Norman-Lott, to be clear here. Omar Norman-Lott, 3 technique. They're trying to get him to be able to play both. I get that is the eventual plan here, but that's a lot to put on a rookie. You're changing positions. You're putting him in a spag scheme where there's a lot there. So expecting that a rookie is going to switch positions, start and play in a big role, and that is not going to be a very valuable thing that you need to be counting on. I don't understand what the thought process was all offseason around the nose tackle position. I get that it's not that important, but it is important. This defense can't go without somebody that can occupy space, take up bodies. Drew Tranquill is better when he's able to run, shoot gaps, blitz, be able to get into the backfield, knife into the backfield. We saw nose tackle play take a step back last year. Drew Tranquill didn't look particularly great. He didn't look great in some other roles either. Nick Bolton is not a stack and shed linebacker. That's just not his forte. He is a guy that slips, times his runs into the gaps, everything like that, really ridiculously well post snap. You need to keep him clean. That nose tackle position is what makes those guys that you are investing this money into go. So you can't just say, hey, we'll throw something together at the last minute and hope that it's going to work. I like Derek Nottie. Derek Nottie is an awesome person, and Derek Nottie has done a lot for this franchise over his career so far. Whether you believe it or not, he has done a lot for this defense. He's not the same player that he was before. And so now you're staring at the middle of this defense. They made pretty good decisions all around with who they're keeping, what they're trying to do. I kind of like the starting 11, but that spot right there in particular, you just look at it and you go, boy, it just nothing all off season. And then you trade for a guy that you told wasn't good enough so that he can go sign a vet min contract somewhere else. The whole process is just really confounding to me.
I think a lot's been confounding over the last couple hours here, last 24 hours. So we've got this the wildest 53-man roster I think I've seen since I've been doing this. And I remember watching the last preseason game, and you listen to the broadcast and they're like, yeah, Cooper McDonald maybe making this team. Jason Brownlee maybe making this team. 4 tight ends. And like, I know Bob Tanya's not back yet, but
he was at practice today and Rashee Rice wasn't.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
Not technically, whatever. And I was like, when I was watching the broadcast, I was like, how? If you want, how are they doing this? Well, it's because they kept 8 wide receivers and technically 3 tight ends. They got a couple moves coming. Elijah Mitchell makes the team. Rashard Smith makes the team. A lot of just like very heavy on the offense for the initial 53-man roster too, by the way. I think there's 22 defensive players currently on the 53-man roster. 22, 3 specialists.
I'm counting while you're doing this. Go ahead. Yeah.
16, 18.
I'm looking at yeah.
I think it's 24.
Is it? Who am I missing?
It's pretty balanced.
Well, I mean, 2 players. If you're going to name the 22 that you know, I can tell you who you're missing. I don't know who you're missing if you don't name them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can read them if you would like me to.
Are you missing Malik
probably?
Herring?
Malik Herring and Malik Herring, Cooper McDonald, and Josh Williams. Like, those are the 3 that I think most people would have been missing.
Yeah. I've got. We're not going to list them all. Okay, fine. 24. We'll just call it 24. I trust you implicitly.
We got that right.
I'm just looking at it. I'm
actually counting 27, Kent. Who do you believe more, me or Maddie?
Maddie. Weirdly. I don't know how you can have 27.
Hold on, Greg. Who are we missing? Who are we missing?
Who are we missing, Kent?
It's 27 defensive players and 8 wide receivers. Yes, you're right. We got it. We're good. Yeah, my bad. I'll show you what I was looking at later. You can tell me what's going on. Anyways,
don't look at that anymore.
Clip that. Somebody clip that.
Tuck is, I think, actively clipping it.
Okay, so I'm gonna save us here. We talked about Cooper McDonald, which is one of the more surprising people to make the 53-man roster, despite what Craig wants to say. We also, you mentioned it, Jason Brownlee. It's kind of wild. That's an 8th wide receiver. That's a 26-year-old wide receiver who ran a 4.6. We also got Elijah Mitchell, who I don't think showed really a whole lot during the preseason, wasn't really getting any run with the first team. And as the preseason went on, felt like he was getting pushed further and further down the running back depth chart. Jared Wiley makes it. Now, it does seem like kind of the Chiefs did the vet thing with Bob Tonyan. I don't know if they legitimately said you have to get one or the other if Jared Wiley makes it over, but I still think Jared Wiley making it was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, who really sticks out to you guys as I really like that one's the one that really put me on the heels the most?
I'll let you go first, Kent.
The one that put me on the heels the most was Jason Brownlee. Like that.
He's one of the 2 defenders that you didn't even have on your list.
Well, yeah, that was jarring as well. I think Brownlee surprised me, just because there's the numbers of receivers already was just so jarring. And then you're expecting 7, and I know Rashee Rice, we're anticipating the suspension, but 6 is plenty, especially when you're looking at the offensive line and trying to figure all those things out. That one was the one I think that was the most surprising to me. I know he had a nice fade route in the first game of the preseason, but I did not see that one coming at all.
I mean, the thing that I keep, and we'll see how this shakes out, but the thing that I keep looking at here with the suspension of Rashee Rice, with Jalen Royals being hurt. There's several conflicting reports out there. Who knows what we're going to get out of Jalen Royals? If both of those guys are out, Jason Brownlee makes a ton of sense all of a sudden. If you've got Jalen Royals as an IR designated return, they don't have to make that declaration right now. If Mike Pennell is hanging out and they're just waiting for Jason Brownlee to move Jalen Royals to IR, Jason Brownlee, like all of that makes sense over the next couple of weeks. If we get to week 1 and this team still has Jalen Royals, Jason Brownlee, I understand Nico Remigio. I understand Tyquan Thornton. I understand the 3 starting wide receivers. But if they've got both of those guys still on this roster, I start to ask a lot more questions about why they prioritized that, why it was that. I have liked what I've seen out of Jason Brownlee. He's tough. He's tough as hell. He took several big hits during the preseason, held onto the ball. I get why a team could like him. I just don't, the Chiefs have done a good job of like layering like for like individuals over each other. And I don't think he's like for like of any of these guys. He's not particularly explosive. He is a bigger guy, but he doesn't have speed. They've layered enough of these different types so that they don't have to change the offense when these guys get in here. This could just simply be a case of them just liking what they saw out of the guy. But over a guy like Asa Pole. Is it Pole or Pole? I don't know. I've heard both people. There are both names there.
We're gonna go Pole.
Okay.
No, I think Craig should go with Pole.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Listen, I heard Joshua Briscoe call him Pole earlier today.
Pro
So I'm just
Football References says Pole. Pole is how it's listed.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at me clarifying.
I would like to make an announcement. Our lads lists 12 positions on their defensive depth chart instead of 11. And so I was taking 11 and multiplying it by 2, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
There's 12. So there's 24 players.
So how you don't look at too many defensive playbooks or depth charts?
Yeah, he doesn't. That's true. But I look at some of the rest of this. Like I would have liked to have another developmental tackle under Andy Heck here, just taking swings with guys that look decent at this point. They're doing a good job of drafting guys for traits and trying to develop them. Why not try and take a guy that looked pretty good in the preseason and it looked like he was going to come back to the practice squad? If you read Sam McDowell's timeline, I think there is a lot of angst from the Chiefs over the fact that Asa Pole got poached by the New York Jets. I think that there is some hurt feelings over there. They certainly thought he was going to clear and make the practice squad. They had that announcement queued up. And then right after the deadline, Pole was notified that he had been picked up on waivers by the Jets. They certainly got it in time. That is, so the Jets did everything right. They just hadn't notified the player yet. That one is probably the one that hurts on offense specifically the most of guys that aren't going to end up back on the 53-man roster here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I don't know what the decision process there was, thinking that, again, an older wide receiver without much production that could run a 4.6 is unlikely to hit your practice squad, but the rookie, very athletic offensive tackle is. And like, I get it, he went undrafted. They both did, actually. But like, again, he was undrafted, so teams passed on him, but he now put tape out there. So like, I don't know. I am not surprised that the Jets, a team that was relatively early in the waiver wire, was able to get Pole off of the waiver wire from the Chiefs. You could spin me a story that Brownlee, they wanted another wide receiver if Jalen Royals goes on the IR or isn't expected to play soon, and they obviously knew this Rashee Rice suspension was coming down. I just don't know if there's going to be much of a difference from Brownlee or any player you could slap up off of somebody else's practice squad, or if he doesn't make it to your own. That's where I really don't get that one. Similarly, Josh Williams, surprised that he made the roster, but with Najee Johnson going on the IR, I can at least hear the rationale for why they wanted the bodies. Mm-hmm. The one that doesn't make a ton of sense to me because of what we've heard, why Elijah Mitchell, right? Like, you had 3 other running backs. Mm-hmm. You cut him over Carson Steele, and I'm not going to argue about who's the better player or not, but like, is there a significant difference between the two? Carson Steele obviously makes it back to your practice squad. You also bring back Clyde Edwards-Helaire to your practice squad, or are trying to. Like, I don't know. I was a little surprised that they decided to keep Elijah Mitchell and risk some of these other players as well. So yeah, just some interesting decisions for this 53-man roster, and I guess we'll see who all they come back.
feels like a bunch of. Oh, go ahead, Kent.